new beliefs are held within a network of supporting beliefs in terms of the truth, as with the astronomer Galileo, who challenged the idea that the Earth was at the center of the universe back in the early 17th century. And this, of course, challenged biblical beliefs at the time. And he, Galileo, even had to face the Roman Inquisition twice, oddly enough. And so, with an order to renounce his view that the Earth revolved around the sun, and order to house arrest, in which he remained for the rest of his life. So that's astounding to think of, especially given that nowadays, of course, we're more than happy to recognize that the Earth is not the center of the universe, and nor do we have to be punished whenever we make that claim, right? But the fact that he was punished is a way of establishing that the coherentist view at that time obviously was a way in which people didn't agree with such a thing. And so, so the coherentism of his time led people to disbelieve this new belief or this new truth, which is something that we take for granted, right? To rethink this firmly attached, our formally attached view is takes a lot of work. And so now we're moving on to how it is that we're understanding relativism in general. And if we haven't already, we could have recognized how it is that we understand relativism in terms of ethical relativism, but we need to also see that there's just relativism itself. And so relativism itself is what you could call epistemological relativism. And so epistemological relativism is just otherwise known as relativism, and that's a way in which we're calling into question the basic notion of truth. So with ethical relativism, we said something like, if every relativist might claim if everyone's different, then because of these differences, the relativist then is going to deny or be skeptical of any sort of objective morality thereof. And a similar claim could be made with just the relativist or the epistemological relativist, where he or she claims that everyone has a different version of the truth, and given that there are so many variations on how it is that we understand the truth, then the relativist is going to claim that there is no objective truth or no truth with a capital T. And so when we're understanding relativism, Velasquez brings in this case of Marc Dutroux, who was found by a Belgian jury to be guilty of murder. He kidnapped, raped, and imprisoned 8 young girls, and in fact murdered 4 of the girls, and 2 of the girls were 8 years old, and he killed them by starving them to death in his private dungeon. So forgive me if this is alarming, but this is how it is that Velasquez is introducing us to relativism. And it's also claimed that he buried 2 of the young ladies alive. And so this case was a big deal in Belgium. And it's also due to the fact that Dutroux was part of a high-profile sex ring with government officials involved who were all protecting him as well. And so this was called, there was a so-called Dutroux Inquiry Commission appointed to get to the truth of the case. And during the commission meeting, 2 witnesses, a policeman, and a judge were all questioned about the case under oath. The policeman testified that he, in fact, sent important files to the judge, and the judge also testified under oath that he had not received the files from the policeman. So an anthropology professor was interviewed about the case by a Belgian newspaper and basically pointed out that we're often working under the assumption that not of a truth, but the truth with a capital T. And that if we work hard enough, the truth will come out, is the idea that we usually think of. But if we're thinking as a relativist, we could have this stalemate that the anthropology professor is bringing to bear in terms of making this claim for an ethically relativist, or sorry, just a relativist position, in the sense that if we say one guy sent the files, the other guy didn't get the files, the anthropologist comes in and says, well, who's to say what is the truth? One thing that we're looking at in an ordinary sense is that this could be a way in which you stop the investigation into truth to go any further. So what that's showing you is the problem of relativism, whereby the claim of relativism is really just drawing this stalemate and not going any further into the investigation. And I think that's where we could start seeing even added more problems with relativism, in the sense that the relativist is going to deny a transcendent objective truth. In other words, for the relativist, it all depends on who's making the claim to begin with, so on and so forth. So for the relativist, there's no objective truth, and that really becomes what we look at as a cop-out to the truth. And so we could recognize that it's really more a matter of digging in deeper, whereas for the relativist, there's almost a refusal to do that. Okay, and so now we go from this case of relativism to another type of truth, which is known as the correspondence theory of truth, whereby we have correspondence of truth, say a correspondence of truth, say